Hi, this is Larry London. We welcome you to Border Crossings, and today we're talking to an international singer, songwriter, performer. She's performed at Carnegie Hall. She's a recent Grammy Award winner. We'd like to welcome to our program from Mumbai, Falu. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it, Larry.
Now, Falu, where do you call home these days? Is it you still have a house in Mumbai?
I do have a house in Mumbai, but I call myself a New Yorker.
A New Yorker.
Yes.
Was it a big transition moving from Mumbai to New York?
Absolutely. A big culture shock. It was like a different planet. But, I'm an adventurous person, so I absolutely enjoyed every minute of learning new things.
Well, I'm sure New York, they cater to a very international crowd, so you can get all kinds of great Indian food. Myself, I love, saag paneer and butter chicken, and I love Indian food.
Yeah, I mean, me too.
Well, we welcome you to our show. And what can you tell me, first of all, what is Indie Hindi? I saw that term associated with your career, so explain a little bit about Indie Hindi.
Well, it all started with a young man called Gaurav Shah entering my life in India. He was born and raised here in Texas, and originally Indian immigrant parents came here, and Gaurav was raised here, my husband. We met in India when he came to learn music for a year. He took a year off from college, and we ended up in the same music class, so we fell in love. And that ended up in me coming to America, in New York, with him. We married here, and we together started this journey as co-singers and co-songwriters and bandmates. And we created, along with Karishma, the older band, a sound called Indie Hindi, wherein all the songs were in English, but they were based on the traditional melodic scales that have been passed on to us for 11 generations. And these are called Indian ragas. So the classical music and folk music of India was brought here because of my training, because of what Gaurav also studied for a little bit. And together we created a story of coming up with the genre that's also newer, not very popular in America, but it became our signature sound.
And you have done quite a few different things in this industry. You've done some music for documentaries and film, and you've performed with Yo-Yo Ma, I guess. You shared a stage with him. You've performed for presidents. It's what a career you've had. And with A.R. Rahman, you also performed with him. So, I mean, you've done so many different things. You've sung in English, you've sung in Hindi, and all of this is in what, how many years? It's been a short while. It hasn't been a long career, has it?
No, I've only been here for 21 years. So we started 21 years ago. As a matter of fact, we were passing through Mercury Lounge, a little club in New York, the other day. And, I had nostalgia about how we stuck in flyers for people to come in 2001. And we started, doing our concerts that way. And from there to then having a Grammy Award, it's been such a but it's such an interesting story and development as an artist, as well as a human. Learning American ways and becoming American while hanging on to the traditional values that I inherited. So there's been kind of a lot of ups and downs, but also a lot of great and beautiful things that happen along the way.
And you talk about winning a Grammy. It's for your second children's album, I believe?
Yes, that's correct.
So we're going to talk more about the children's albums and your journey, your Grammy, and I want to hear about this, the biggest challenges you faced in moving from India to the U.S. But before we get to that, I want to ask if you do a song for us.
Sure. Actually, why don't I do the first song that I've ever written in America? It was in Hindi, and I was 19, 20 years old, and I did not have a concept of how to write a song. But Gaurav and people from Karishma introduced me to that concept, and then I started writing what I was feeling. And even though the lyrics are in Hindi, but the arrangement and the entire approach to the song, like verse, chorus, bridge, everything is American and Western. So this is exactly the birth of indie Hindi, and it's called Rabba.
Rabba. What does it mean, Rabba?
Oh my Lord.
Oh, my Lord. Here's Rabba Falu here on Border Crossings.
तेरे कारण तेरे कारण तेरे कारण तेरे कारण तेरे कारण तेरे कारण मैं तो हो गई जोगन रे तेरे प्यार में मैं तो हो गई जोगन रे तेरे प्यार में मेरे हमदम मेरे हमदम मेरे हमदम मेरे हमदम मेरे हमदम मेरे हमदम मैंने पाली दुनिया रे तेरे प्यार में मैंने पाली दुनिया रे तेरे प्यार में मारू डोला मारो डोला मारो पिया पिया जी हाय रब्बा 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 रब्बा
Border Crossings, Falu, and Rabba, which is oh my God in English.
It's in Hindi. Oh my God is English translation.
Right. So the song we just heard was Hindi, and the inspiration is from a 19-year-old's perspective. And that's kind of, very early on. I assume at that time you weren't married or had children. That was very
No.
early. Yeah, you were very young
Very young.
to be, oh my God, what inspired you to write something like that? What was your eye-opening experience at that time at 19?
It was about meeting this man. It was about love, falling in love with the man I married. And when I met him and everything I learned about him I was in awe. And the first love that a woman can have, and she never forgets. And it was mesmerizing. So it's about a union, happiness, but also the other meaning, spiritual meaning, is also about attaining enlightenment. It's when somebody reaches that stage of just being enlightened. That is how I think love feels.
And so this is your first love? You married your first love?
I did.
Wow. What a romantic love story that is.
I was lucky enough.
Yeah, and you look very happy, so that's great. That's wonderful. Falu is our guest here on Border Crossings. And so what's been the biggest adjustment or transition you had to make when you moved here to the U.S.? You talked about adjusting to the culture and the U.S. from India. What was your biggest challenge?
Learning how to maneuver and how to work in America, because I didn't have the opportunity to go to school here. So when you go to high school, middle school, the culture embodies in children and teenagers. For me, it was first of all a culture shock, because I come from a very traditional family in India, a very close knit, small family, and to come to America and explore the world of Ethiopian food as well as Greek food, and then go to another and hear Latin music, or go to another corner and have African music, gospel choir. It's like a big bang happened in my head, and I had to swirl around that and bring myself together to learn where do I fit in, how do I keep what I have, but also incorporate the uniqueness of what I have and make something unique out of everything that I have learned.
Mm-hmm.
So there were many musical things that I had to learn, like how to read music or how to communicate with people who are not Indian musicians, because we don't think harmony, we only think melody. And here I had to learn how to write harmonies and how to sing in choir, or how to, like all the other styles of music that I did not learn. So the education starts right there, preliminary education of learning how to see music in a different way. And it goes from there to, boyfriend, girlfriend cultures, wearing a ring. I didn't even know I had to wear a ring to be known that I'm married and I'm not available. All of that, when you go to a club, some people would say, you want to come out on a date with me? That would be a culture shock. Because I was never asked out on a date. So, things that a 19-year-old has to learn when she has no idea how American young people work, or how the clubs and festivals and musicians and biggest collaborators that I had, Yo-Yo Ma, Philip Glass, Wyclef Jean, or A.R. Rahman, Ricky Martin, these people, how they think. I mean, put a 19-year-old in that room and it could be intimidating. But
yes.
Thank God for me, I had my training so solid, and my ragas and my Indian classical music was so strong in me that I never was scared to open my mouth and sing. So I think that courage that was instilled by my gurus, Ustad Sultan Khan and other teachers that have blessed me, I think that went a long way. And then so many times I would go back to my teachers and say, I don't know anything about American music. I don't know what to do. They said, just flow like a river. Keep going. Don't look back. If you make a mistake, so what? It's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes. Keep going. Learn and grow. So positivity, and then obviously support from my husband. Gaurav was massive. Without him, I can't do anything. It's a journey. Musicians learn. Sometimes they take right decisions. Sometimes you just absolutely have no clue. But, Bernie Worrell, going on tour with him, going on tour with my band, and learning how to even do sound checks was it was so interesting. Like, I am such a different person now.
Well, you had to learn how to do a sound check?
Yeah, because I never performed in India. I only learned.
Oh, and I know your mom was instrumental in your career. She sings classical music. You even did some projects with her.
Yes, she actually sings on my first children's album. And her lullaby is what really inspired me to do this.
That's how you decided to make children's albums? Is from mom singing to you?
It was an organic thing. I decided to do a children's album when I became a mother, because in India, where I come from, there's a saying: when a child is born, a mother is born. And when I delivered a child, I absolutely had no idea where to give him any Indian culture from except me. And at 4 or 5, he started asking, identity questions like, why am I brown? Why do I eat yellow food? Or why am I speaking a different language at home? And as an immigrant mom who is so inexperienced in New York, who has no idea or support how to raise a child, clueless basically, a clueless mom, I started writing songs for him in 2 languages to tell him that it's okay to draw from both languages and cultures and not be fearful of your differences, but be proud of them. And how do you tell a 4-year-old that being brown is cool? It's nothing to be ashamed of. That's how the first album came in birth. And actually, Brian Vergas, who you will meet later on, was my co-songwriter. And we wrote all the songs together. And then the band said, yeah, this is pretty cool. Why don't we make an album out of it? And then my mother was there around, so she started singing, and we're like, let's do her. So 3 generations will be singing, not just me, my mom, and my 4-year-old son. We all sang in that album, and we wanted to create this hereditary, the generational passing oral tradition of Indian music. We wanted to show kids that there's other ways of learning music, not just writing. You can learn it orally from generation to generation, And that's also a way of learning and memorizing music, not just reading.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a
Yeah.
great, I mean, I'm sure you're an inspiration to your son, and he doesn't probably too young to really realize what mom does at this point, or the impact that mom has on culture and on music. But I'm sure at some point in time he's going to start to really understand, and maybe he'll pursue music.
He actually, yeah, he's learning classical music, and he did something called a chilla, which he did a mini chilla because he's small. So in that tradition, in Indian musicians, they sit in one place for 40 days and sing one melodic scale from sunrise to sunset, non-stop, without
My,
stops. Right? So basically,
wow.
you completely give up your own self to the power of music and to be engaged in only that melody, only one scale. Imagine I give you a Lydian scale or a Phrygian scale, and you just keep singing that 40 days nonstop. And you eat the same food, you wear two pairs of clothes, you wash and you wear, you wash and you wear. So there's no colors. If you take the white color, you wear a white outfit. If you sit in one spot, you sit in one spot. Basically, discipline, focus, concentration, and surrendering is what we learn as children. That's how I was trained, and he also did it in last summer. He did it for 4 hours, because for kids his age, they have to eat. We generally don't even eat anything. We eat in the morning before 7. We practice until evening until 7 p.m. and we eat afterwards. So control on hunger, control on desires, control on iPads and social media is
And so the purpose of all of this, the chala, is what? For self-discipline?
self-discipline, surrendering, and absolutely focusing on making your art the utmost power.
Wow. That's amazing. I'm part of the way because I only wear the same pair of shirt and pants for 40 days. So I'm kind of on the way there, and I'm on the couch for 40 days. So I guess that I'm similar there, but
So you're doing a chilla for what your work then?
I'm doing, yes. And I do have a song in my head all the time. I think we do that all the time. We get songs stuck in our head, but I can't imagine singing a scale, for 40 days, all day, every day. That's just an amazing thing. We're talking with Falu, who's our guest here on the program. Now, you got a Grammy for your second children's album. What's the album called?
It's called A Colorful World.
A Colorful World.
Yes, and it happened because a bunch of things happened in COVID. It was all COVID made. My father passed away, who I'm very.
I'm sorry.
So, coming from that grief, music was something that was the only thing that basically took me out of that grief because I was very close to him and he lived with us. So slowly I started writing songs that reminded me of my memories with him. So going to the park, going to the farm, or learning how to fly a kite, or coloring with crayons that me and my dad always did as preschoolers, and how he told me that in crayons it's a box, right? But all the colors live so peacefully with each other, keeping their identities intact. And this is exactly how you can live with other human beings who don't look like you, who are different, who come from different religion, different caste, different culture, different race. You live peacefully with them, but you don't forget your identity. And how amazing that was for me, from my dad and my peers, to learn at such a young age, and then make an album where diversity, inclusiveness and integration and acceptance is so needed right now in this world for children, even for adults. Like the acceptance and tolerance is so low because of everything that's going on. Wars are going on, and I feel like with colors, if we can teach children fundamentally in their young age that it's okay to be different, but embrace each other and respect each other, I think the society might just be a better place.
We talk about diversity these days. So yeah, it's tough to be a child in today's world. Growing up today is a lot harder than when I was growing up. We're talking with Falu, who's with us. Would you do another song?
Sure. I'll do you a lullaby. that has been incredibly successful, and it's also from the album Falu's Bazaar. And my mother sang this to me, and my mother's 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 mother sang it. So it comes in the family. It's a legacy lullaby that we have passed on for 5 generations, and I'm hoping my son passes on to the next one, so that'll be the 6th. So I will do a lullaby from that album, Falu's Bazaar. It's called Nishat's Lullaby.
All right, Nishat's Lullaby. Here's Falu on Border Crossings.
Bhai to maro dayo, bhai to patle besi dayo wala, bhai to maro dayo, bhai to patle besi dayo wala, bhai bhai tane karu, bhai tane hath malaine faru wala, bhai bhai tane karu, bhai tane hath malaine faru wala, sui
Border Crossings, that's Nishat's Lullaby, and it's Falu who's singing it. And what a lovely voice you have. You have an absolutely mesmerizing, amazing voice. And, I always assimilate Indian music with Bollywood and the dancing and the big stage productions. And, I've seen a bunch of Indian films, and there's a lot of dancing that goes on in even a love story movie. There's dancing is a big component of Indian movies that I've seen. Is that something that you grew up with yourself in Mumbai?
Oh yeah, once you're in India, you cannot escape Bollywood and all the cool things that it brings to your world. Basically, Bollywood is something that when you're seeing a cinema, when you go to a movie theater, you forget about your differences. There is another person sitting next to me, there's somebody else sitting next to me, and all of us enjoy this 2 hours of movie, and it escapes us to a different world. And for India, Bollywood is something more associated with escaping from reality rather than being in reality, because life is very hard there. Even running water not sometimes is always given, right? So people have to go and escape themselves to a world of fantasy. That's where Bollywood comes in, where it's spicy, it's dancing, it's colors, it's culture, festivities, it's stories and emotions, and everything is a mix. And I think it's a wonderful way to escape for those 2 hours and forget about your struggles. And I feel all of us need that. Here we do yoga, or here we go to meditation class. Mm-hmm. Everybody copes up in different ways. So I think it's very cultural. Mm-hmm. But Bollywood to us means it's in our DNA. Dancing,
sure, a way of life.
Fabrics, spices, and my album talks about all of it. The spices of India, the pots and pans that we use, the fabrics, and the nuances that Indian emotions have and the culture has. I try to bring it through my artistic voice, music, and songwriting capabilities and lyrics. And through that, we want to take children through a South Asian journey and show them a different world that exists so peacefully without disturbing them, but it's still there.
Mm. We're talking with Falu now. Americans and many other people around the world know very little about India or what India life is like. It's just not something we're exposed to that often. The first time that I really got a chance to see much of a Indian culture was seeing Slumdog Millionaire, which was a very, very popular film a few years ago. And it was kind of tailored to an American audience. And I saw Mumbai as being a very, very poor part of the world. And it looked like very difficult circumstances in Mumbai. So that's probably, I mean, that's what you grew up in. That's what we saw in the movie is the real Mumbai.
Mumbai is a very, very cultural city, multicultural city, financial capital, and everything that you want in India, you can get in Mumbai, sorry. Yes, so we did see slums, we did see bungalows, we did see skyscrapers, we did see life where children are so wealthy, they come in Rolls Royces to the school. We saw life where children have no running water or food to eat. We saw lives where children come in copper cans and beg for food. And we saw lives where children are ill-treating their servants, like, I need this, can you get me that? So all this contrast of humanity, human behavior with abundance and also with nothing. When we see that as a child, something about it tells me that whatever I have, I'm blessed. And whatever I have, I want to share. I want to share through my music the peace and happiness and love that I can spread as a human being. If I have more, I want to give more, because not everybody has everything.
Very true, very true. Did you get a chance to talk to President Obama when you performed for him?
Yes, I did. He and actually his wife were very, very gracious. They gave us a little tour of the White House. They came to our green rooms all of the days. They said, have you been fed? Have you been taken care of? Can I get you anything? And then he also asked me if, I know how to make dal. Apparently he likes dal. I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, can I come over? I'm like, yeah, sure. Bring your security too. No problem. He was having so much fun with us musicians. And White House was something for a person who was born in India and comes here as an immigrant, first generation, going to White House, singing for the president and the first lady in front of her own prime minister, Manmohan Singh.
Yes.
I don't think I would have asked anything more from life. I felt so humbled and honored at that moment when I was talking to the president and the first lady of the United States. And
the prime minister of your country.
And the prime minister of my country.
And now you have a Grammy, and now you want 2 or 3 or 4. You want a whole bookcase full. Falu is our guest here on Border Crossing. So you moved here from Mumbai to New York. The Big Apple, the big city, biggest city in the United States. What was the biggest surprise for you when you first got there and you said, oh my God, Americans eat a lot? Or, oh my God, Americans are so big? Or what was the first, because, we're broadcasting to India, and I'm sure that people are looking through your eyes to see what goes on in this country. They've never been here. So, what was the first thing that you said that shocked you?
The first thing that I saw was the skyline of New York. And I don't think I've seen anything so beautiful anywhere. When I landed, it was, during the nighttime, and the entire sky was shining as if stars are glooming in the sky and showing me their carpet to come and just come make this the home. And it was so welcoming. The surprise that I have, first surprise and the biggest surprise is how welcoming and sweet and loving Americans are. How open-minded they are. How they embrace a person who has no idea what their country is, but make it their own, make her feel like you're welcome, you have a place, you're not an alien, and you are so welcome in our country that if you work hard, you will be able to reach those stars. So the openness, welcoming, loving, and just hungry for something new, that attitude that Americans have, I am so grateful and so happy that they have given me this opportunity and chance to become one of them.
It's interesting you say that, because New York is not known for being, people there aren't known for being friendly. They don't think of New Yorkers as being the friendliest people in the country, but you never know. I mean, I guess when you're from another country, New York is a melting pot, so they do make you feel welcome. It's a very international area. And being an immigrant, I'm sure that they embraced you there in New York, which is great. Our country must have embraced you. The world is embracing you today for the first time. Many people in many parts of the world, we're broadcasting to 100 countries, are meeting Falu for the first time and hearing Falu's music. Now, when you perform on stage or on tour, and you now have a children's album, do you do shows for children? I mean, how does that affect what you do and how you tour and perform?
So I do various kinds of performances, starting with adult music, which my first indie Hindi repertoire is. I have the same band of 4 people, Brian Vergas, Leo Traversa, Greg Gonzalez, and me. 4 of us play everything, right? So if we have a club show or a festival show, we will play my adult repertoire. Recently, we had a performance for kids, 20,000 or more kids at Carnegie Hall. Wow. And we did Musical Explorers, where we took 3 songs from India, and those 3 songs are in every school in New York City and more. And it also is virtually, shown. So many kids all over America and more have seen that show that we did at Carnegie Hall. Then we also went to Spain to headline the Festival for Wellbeing Summit, which is the first of a kind festival in the world that brings meditation, mindfulness, and music together as a healing opportunity for people who are looking for something bigger than just, capitalism. Also, then I went to the White House again just recently for the Asian American Pacific Islander month, where I closed off their ceremony, and President Biden this time invited. So that was great. And we went to the White House and we performed, and it was such an honor again to represent Indian American music and platform on such a big way. We have Bollywood Orchestra, where we do, we open up for legends like Zakir Hussain and Asha Bhosle from Bollywood. So my same band, we do a lot of repertoire, and we tour the world, and we're actually going to go back to India to do a couple of concerts. We just learned that. So life is exciting. It's very dynamic, and everything that we can give through our music to people in this stressful times of war and uncertainties, we are very happy to extend our love through music.
Mm-hmm. What's been the highlight for Falu? You seem to have done so much already. So what has been the one moment that stands out above the others?
Winning a Grammy.
All right. Love the honesty. You got it on the dashboard of the car, right? It's right there, right on the dashboard.
It was surreal. It was, it was every musician almost always dreams about that kind of, awards and recognition. Mm-hmm. So definitely very honored.
Mm-hmm. And there you are sitting alongside of Taylor Swift and Beyonce. So that must have been a fun event, a fun occasion. Falu is our guest. We have time for one more song. What have you picked for us?
Oh, this song is extraordinary. It's basically an anthem of South Asia. Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, all of our countries, all of our neighboring countries, everybody knows and loves and always comes together, unites peacefully, singing this beautiful melody, and becomes one for those 3 minutes. There is no differences, no language barriers, no religion barriers when we sing this song. So I would like to do this as a blessing, as a prayer to everybody who is listening to this. Let's put our differences aside for 3 minutes and just enjoy the soulfulness of music. As my teacher says, music is such that a soul sings and a soul hears. There are no boundaries. So let's unite for that 3 minutes.
And this is called?
O Lal Meri.
All right, here's Falu on Border Crossings.
O Lal Meri pat rakhiyo bhala jhule Sindhirita se parda sakhi shabas kalandar damadam mast kalandar Ali dam dam me andar damadam mast kalandar Ali dam dam me andar O lal meri O lal meri
Falu on Border Crossings. And what's the name of the song we just heard?
O Lal Meri.
Olad Maid?
O Lal Meri.
Olal Maid. Okay, beautiful song. Let's unite, getting together once again and celebrating life for 3 minutes and forgetting about everything going on around us outside, in the outside world. Is that correct? Is that
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's lovely, lovely. It's been a pleasure to meet you. Now, if people want to find your tour schedule, they want to know where you're performing, they want to get your music, where can they find you on social media and on the web?
Well, our social handles are Falu Music, FALU Music.com. It's a website, as well as Falu Music on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, everywhere.
So everything is Falu Music. That's how people can find out. And you've got these festivals coming up. You're going back to India. So if we're reaching people in India right now, you can check out the shows. Make sure you go to Falu Music and find out where she's performing, when she's performing. And your music is available on Amazon and iTunes and everywhere people can buy music.
Yes.
And the name of the new children's album is?
A Colorful World.
A Colorful World. Well, thank you so much for making our world more colorful, Falu. Appreciate meeting you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. What a pleasure. And so our guest today has been Falu, and you have been watching Border Crossings. And this is VOA TV. Thanks for tuning in.